In this video, we're going to talk about the law of demand. What is this law of demand? What is it concerned with? Well, the law of demand is basically concerned about two variables. What are the two variables? Price of the commodity and the quantity demanded of the commodity. So the law of demand is actually concerned about price and the quantity demanded of the commodity. Okay. Now, what does the law state? The law states that with the increase in the price of the commodity X, demand for the good will decrease. And vice versa. So what does the law state? It states that with the increase in the price of the commodity, demand for the commodity will decrease. Okay. But if you write this, you won't be getting full marks. You'll have to add keeping all other things constant. Okay. So the law of demand states that with the increase in the price of the commodity, demand for it will go down, and vice versa, keeping all other factors constant. Okay. So 1, 2, and 3. So you'll have to write all these 3 points to get full marks. So again, I'm saying that what is the law of demand? The law of demand is concerned about two variables: price of the commodity and demand for the commodity. What is the statement? The statement is with the increase in the price of the commodity X, demand for the commodity X will go down, and vice versa, keeping all the other things constant. Okay. You can also use the term ceteris paribus in place of keeping all other factors constant. In place of this, you may also use the term ceteris paribus. Okay. Clear? So, hence we can say that according to the law of demand, if price of the commodity goes up, demand for it will go down, keeping other factors constant, or if the price goes down, demand for it will go up, keeping all other factors constant. Ceteris paribus. Okay. So this indicates that Px and Xt are negatively related to each other. Okay. What does this mean? This means that price and demand for the commodity are moving in the opposite direction. That when price goes up, demand goes down. That means these two are moving in the opposite direction, which means that price of the commodities and the demand for it are inversely related or negatively related to each other. Okay. So how is price of the product related to the demand for it? Your answer will be inversely related or negatively related. Negatively related or inversely related. Okay. Now, what are the assumptions of this law? There are certain assumptions on which the law is based. So, what are those assumptions? If you remember the statement, we there was this ceteris paribus thing. That means we need to keep all the other factors constant. That is actually your assumptions. How is it? While we are, if you remember the determinants of demand, you will find that there are numerous determinants: income, price, price of related good, taste and preferences. Okay, so apart from price, all those determinants should be held constant. That means income of the consumer will be constant. There will be no change in taste and preferences of the consumer. No change in the price of related goods. No change in price expectations. No change in population size, etc. So these are some of your assumptions. Now the question is, why are these assumptions necessary? Now let us consider that demand is dependent on price of the commodity and income of the consumer. Let us suppose that there are only two determinants of demand, that is price and income. We know that when price goes up, demand will go down. It's quite obvious. If price goes up, purchasing power will go down, so demand will go down. On the other hand, if the income of the consumer goes up, demand will go up. Okay. So, if we want to establish a relationship between price and demand, it would be difficult for us to establish any relationship between demand and price until and unless this income is held constant. Why? Because when price is going up, demand is going down. But if we allow income to change, then demand will increase. So what will be the net effect on demand? Whether demand will increase or will it decrease? So to avoid all these confusions, we will consider that the other determinants of demand are held constant. Okay. Now type of demand function should we use to express the law of demand? It's very simple. We know that the law of demand is concerned about only two variables: price of the good and the demand for it. Okay, so it states that demand is dependent on the price of the commodity and all the other factors are held constant. So obviously we will be using a ceteris paribus demand function to express the law of demand. So what is the definition of a ceteris paribus demand function? Ceteris paribus demand function, as you know, as I have already explained in my earlier videos, that ceteris paribus demand function is a function that relates demand for a commodity with only one determinant, keeping all other determinants constant. So in case of law of demand, demand is only dependent on price. Now if you remember the demand function is equal to f of what? Price of the commodity, price of related goods, less preference, less income, then government policy, population, price expectations, many things. Okay, but while we are trying to establish a relationship between demand and price, we have to keep all the other variables constant. So we will put a bar on top of all the variables other than price. Hence we can say that xd is a function of price only. This is our demand function when we are trying to express the law of demand. This has a name as well. I had explained, I told you in my earlier video that this is the own price demand function. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now, this law of demand, what does this suggest? It suggests that keeping other factors constant, if price goes up, demand goes down, or if price goes down, demand goes up. Obviously, we will need to keep all the other factors constant. Now, hence, from this we can say that this law of demand is only concerned about the direction of change. Law of demand is concerned about direction of change. Please remember this, that the law of demand is only concerned about the direction of change only. It doesn't tell us the magnitude of change. It states, or it is concerned about the direction of change. If this goes up, that will go down, not the direction, magnitude of change. Now the question is, Like we are finding an inverse relationship or a negative relationship between you know price and the quantity demanded. Why, if I ask the question, why is the price of a commodity negatively related to the demand for the commodity? Okay. Or why is the demand for a commodity inversely related to its price? What are the reasons behind this inverse relationship? Now, before moving on to that, how would we plot this in a graph? For that, we'll have to use the concept of demand curve. Now, before moving on to demand curve, let me tell you about individual demand, market demand. In case of individual demand means quantity of a good that a single consumer is able. Okay, let us write this as quantities of a good that a single consumer is able and willing to buy at different possible prices during a given time period. Okay. So what is the market demand? In case of market demand, the only thing that will change is here also we'll find quantities of a commodity that all the consumers are able and willing to purchase at different possible prices during a given period of time. So this is individual demand and market demand. Okay. Now, now the concept of demand schedule and demand curve. Now, demand schedule is what? It is the tabular representation of the relationship between price of the commodity and the demand for the commodity. Okay, like 10, 8, 15, 8. So we are actually representing the inverse relationship between price and demand in the form of a table. Okay, that is called demand schedule. Now, demand schedule can be of two types: individual demand schedule and excuse me, individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. Okay, this is the case of an individual demand schedule. Okay, now if I include another one, say 20, 25, then the market demand will be sum total of this 35 and 45. This is your market demand scale. What is the demand curve now? Like demand schedule was a tabular representation. Demand curve will be a graphical representation of the, say, another right relationship between price of the commodity and the demand of the commodity. Similarly, demand curve like demand schedule will be of two types: individual demand curve and market demand curve. Okay, so demand schedule is a tabular representation of the relationship between price and quantity demanded. Demand curve will be the graphical representation of the relationship between price and quantity demanded of a commodity. So, suppose this is the price and this is the demand. Okay, this is 10, 8, 15, 20. See, when price goes down, demand goes up. So, it states that demand and price and demand are inversely related. Now, how will we plot this in a graph? Along the vertical axis, we will measure price of the commodity, and along the horizontal axis, we are going to measure the demand for the commodity. Okay. Let us. This is 10, and this is 8, 5, 10, 15, 20. So, at a price of rupees 10, his demand is 15 units. That is here. Okay. And at a price of 8, his demand is 20 units. Okay. If you join this is going to be his demand curve. This is the demand curve. Okay. See, as we move down, as the price goes down, demand for it goes up. That means we are moving down. This is how a negatively sloped or downward sloping demand curve looks like. Okay. We'll end this video here. In the next video, we're going to discuss the negative slope of the why the demand curve is negatively sloped, or why do we find a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. We will be discussing that in the next video.